Hello, good morning, and welcome to Balanced Act. My name is Juan, and today I want to talk about the most important thing. The most important thing, which is feeling good, which is the thing that we're all trying to accomplish. We're trying to accomplish feeling good. I think I talked about this in my first video, where one of the spiritual teachers I follow, Esther Abraham Hicks, she has a saying that I live by, and that is a quote that I refer to almost daily, which is anything that we want because we imagine that we'll feel good or feel better in the having of it. So we want everything that we want it because we'll think we'll be better. I think it was Alan Watts that was saying in one of his speeches I was listening to was, he will say, and then I'll be happy, because that's what a lot of people think. So I want that Porsche. Once I get that Porsche, then I'll be happy. Once I get that new job, then I'll be happy. I'll have the perfect girlfriend, and then I'll be happy. So that's actually a mistake. And I think on either side you look at things, when you look at things on a more practical side, or if you look at things on a more metaphysical side, I think that trying to run after something for that to be the result of your happiness is a mistake. And we can look at the example of David Goggins. David Goggins is always my favorite example to go to for the stoic side of things, because he's such an extreme example, but he's also a very effective example as well. Where, for him, his saying isn't what Abraham said, which in my previous video I also cited as an extreme example on the metaphysical side. So instead of saying you'll feel better, you'll think you'll feel better in the having of it, his saying is, what's next, motherfucker? Basically. What's next, motherfucker? Like, what's next? I'm not saying it like probably how he would say it. He'll probably be more. I'm not going to try to mimic him right now. But, so what is next? And that's really what it is. To go back to the metaphysical side of things, if you used to believe in that, we are spirit beings having a human experience. That's a saying I first heard from Deepak Chopra. We are spirit beings having a human experience, right? So if you to look at it in that way, we're eternal. We're eternal. We may not be able to remember our previous spiritual lives, not even be 100% sure why we're here on earth. There's many different theories and reasons I've heard for that. The one that seems to suit me the best is that we're basically here to have fun. We're basically here to learn, to have fun, and help the universe expand within our ability to sort through contrasting experiences, which is more of a law of attraction kind of approach. But if we are spirit beings and we are here to have this human experience, and we are eternal, it really gets us relaxed. You don't have to really worry about anything. Really what you're here to do is try to find what feels good to you. And once you accomplish this thing that feels good to you, you're going to want more. Now, you can see this in real life. Even with people who win the lottery, right? So someone, we've all heard this tale. You win the lottery and you're not happy. Matter of fact, maybe even more miserable. And why is that? Because you figured once you won the lottery, once you got this external thing, money and finances, that you're good, right? You're good, you're happy. There's nothing else you need to worry about. Well, it turns out that's not really true. So once you win the lottery, you want more, because that's the way we are. I could give you the moon right now, and you'll be asking me about Mars. I'll give you Mars, and then you'll ask me about Jupiter. It's just the way we are as human beings, because we always want more, because we're here on Earth to experience, to enjoy, and then help the universe expand. Now, how do our experiences help the universe expand? I really don't know. But it seems to be true to me. Now, let's go back more on the practical side of things. Now, if you used to look at things in a more practical way, you're not doing these things to find happiness per se, but you're doing these things because they make you happy. Because with you out, you're doing these things, you want to appreciate yourself so much. Let's go to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan said that when he doesn't do the things that he sets out to do, like if he wants to go to the gym that day, or he had planned to go to the gym that day and he doesn't go to the gym that day, he says that he doesn't appreciate himself very much afterwards. So if he gets slack jaw and he's like, fuck it, I'm just going to sit here and, not do anything. And then later on that day or maybe the next day, he'd be like, I fucked up. So he won't feel good about himself. So he does those things in order to feel good about himself. If he doesn't do those things, then he's not going to feel very good about himself the next day. So we do these things because what we're looking for really is the journey. We're looking for the journey. We're not so much looking for the results. The results are great. The results are a great moment of celebration, climaxing during sex, getting that promotion at the job. Those things are great. Sitting down and eating the good meal. The wedding day. Those moments are great, but that's not what we're looking for. Those moments are fleeting. Like in my first video when I gave the example of the lemon. When you look at the lemon, eating the lemon, you can imagine how the lemon tastes. So really, joy is in the moment. Joy is something that you control. Joy is a decision. So why isn't it so easy to get joy, right? Why sometimes even I get upset about things? Well, the reason being is that we spend way too much time what Abraham Hicks calls step one, which is the asking of something, which is the moment when you're upset, the moment when you do feel bad, you don't feel good. So really what you want is a journey. So why do we stay upset? So the reason why we stay upset is because when we are in a moment where we experience something that we don't like, it's very upsetting to us, obviously, right? But the problem is then we may form thoughts around what we just experienced. So we experience something, we all experience something, whether it's the worst thing ever or whether it's not that bad. We experience it, but then once we experience it, we make a decision on what that experience means to us. That's where most of us fall into the pitfall of despair and stay there. Because we decided that this thing that just happened to us was so terrible that we can't let it go. Because we're like, it's not our fault that it happened. Because we feel like it's not our fault that it happened, right? And, nothing's really ever our fault, but nor is it anyone else's. It's just what happened, right? So when you're in despair, that thing that happened to you, whether it's as simple as they didn't put bacon on your bacon burger, or it's something as terrible as, a loved one was killed in front of you. That thing that just happened to you, you defined it for yourself in that moment. And it can be very difficult to let go of whatever the definition of what just happened to you is. It can be very difficult to let that definition go because now you believe it. You keep thinking the same thought. Back to Abraham Hicks. A belief is only a thought that you keep on thinking. So we'll keep on thinking that this terrible thing that happened to us was oh so terrible. And that we can't let it go because now we are a victim. Dun, dun, dun. Being a victim is the worst thing in the world. You can't allow yourself to be a victim. You really can't. No matter how you look at life, things happen to you. You can't just say, oh, I just got to move on because you can't. That happened. You believe it. So really now, how do you deal with despair? Well, there's a lot of techniques for that, and honestly, I'm figuring it out myself. I've been through quite a bit of trauma in my life, and I've often, up to very recently, have kept a victim mentality about my own life. So, for me, I can share with you what I do in order to remain in a place of well-being, which is something I'm very much still working on, obviously. But one of the best things I do is realize that I have the choice on how I feel in the moment. Also, daily practice is incredibly important to me. It reminds me, it's a constant reminder to me that I'm okay. Meditating in the morning centers me, getting me in touch with my spirit. Writing and journaling, the reading, it does something to me mentally that I can't explain, that really centers me. But the most important thing is for me to always remember, and I would recommend this to you, that it's my decision on how I feel, even when it feels like it's not. Abraham Hicks talks about momentum. When you wake up in the morning, we seem, for some reason, all as human beings, begin to start to think negative thoughts. But the momentum of those negative thoughts haven't really taken hold yet. She compares it to a car on a hill. Like she thinks of a hill like in not Las Vegas, in San Francisco. It could be anywhere. Just imagine a steep hill and your car sitting on top of it, and it's in neutral, and you bump the car, and the car starts to roll down the hill. Now, if you catch momentum early enough and you see the car rolling, car's rolling down the hill, you got to get in front of the car and kind of put your hands on like this and, kind of like stop the car from running down the hill. I was like, okay, cool, caught it early. But now she would say, imagine yourself at the bottom of that hill and the car is coming towards you, and now you intend on stopping that car. So you stand right there in front of it. Chances are it ain't gonna work out too well for you. So this is how momentum is for us when it comes to our emotions. So when you are finding yourself in a poor emotion when you wake up first thing in the morning, so you wake up, normally you feel kind of good for those first couple of seconds, but then a thought will hit you. I have to get up for work now. What time is it? That person from last night who I spoke to before I went to bed really pissed me off. What's happening in Ukraine today? Did my son make it all right to California? He didn't call me. Whatever it is that you're thinking, whatever it is that comes to mind. So one thing I've learned to do is to kind of what they call segment intending. So segment intending is you think about the next segment of your life, or the next thing you're about to do, and then you decide on how it's going to go. So, for instance, at night, what I do is I say a little bit of prayer to my soul, to God, and basically I let it go like this, like, I'm going to go to sleep now. I know I go to sleep. Any thoughts I'm having, any momentum I have going, whether it's negative or positive, it's going to stop. It's going to stop. I'm going to rest. I'm going to wake up in the morning. And when I wake up in the morning, now this is my prayer to my own spirit or to God, or whatever you imagine you are talking to. If you're more scientific and more practical, it could be just to your subconscious. But anyway, so I tell myself in my prayer, when I wake up in the morning, I will begin to think negative thoughts. So I'm actually acknowledging that this is going to happen. But then I tell myself this, but I know I have the opportunity, and I will begin to take the momentum of those thoughts, slow it, and start to think positive thoughts. So just like that car is rolling downhill, the car represents your negative thoughts. And you can stop the momentum of those negative thoughts by stopping the car early, by getting in front of the car early, putting your hands on the car, and slowing the momentum of the negative thoughts. Then you get in your car and you start driving. That's your decision to start to think positively. So I think that's the best way to handle negative thoughts. It's first thing in the morning, because everything is in the moment. Everything's in the moment. All that stuff that happened to you in your past, you only suffer it. You only suffer it because, well, you choose to. It's only all in your head. I mean, the moment it could be fantastic. You could be at the beach and, in wherever you're at. Tahiti, you could be a beach in Tahiti. You could be in a beach, wherever you dream that you would want to be on a beach at. Whether it's California, Florida, wherever. Mexico, that's still a thing. It could be wherever. And you can imagine yourself there. And you are there. But in your head, you're somewhere else. So you decide. So make the decision early in the morning. Obviously, that's the best way to handle that. And however else you can get yourself to be joyous throughout the day, that's the way to do it. Because I'll tell you what, whether you look at things physically, practically, metaphysically, emotionally, or spiritually, everything you want is in the moment. Now, I know it can be difficult when you're looking at things like you got bills on your desk, you're not making quite enough money. A lot of that stuff is comparative. That's you comparing yourself to others. You see your best friend that you went to high school with, they got a big house, family, this and that, and you sitting, wherever you're sitting, maybe you still live with your mom's, and you're 30-something years old. And you're like, what the fuck? So now you comparing yourself to your friend, you now feel bad. You see how it's your decision now that you feel bad? But you thinking that's the way to do it. Now, pain can be a great motivator. A lot of practical practitioners, a lot of modern day stoics, as I would call them, use pain to motivate them to do the thing. But here's the thing, once you get into that moment of deciding, I don't want this anymore, you really got to start feeling good about the path you're on. Because if you don't, that path won't succeed. That's why we often stop what we're doing early. That's why we often just don't see things through, because it's too painful. This is too painful. It's miserable. We don't want to be miserable. You're telling your body you don't want to do this thing because you're looking for the result. When you're result focused, result oriented, one or two things are going to happen. Either it's not going to work out for you, or you'll drag yourself through the mud and over the coals and rake yourself over the spikes, and you'll get to where you're trying to go to. You can burn yourself out, basically. You're not enjoying the journey. My advice to you is to enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Make a decision. Enjoy the journey. Don't do it for the results, but understand, as long as you keep on this road, those results are coming. Use that knowledge to keep yourself motivated. And when you wake up in the morning and you start thinking those negative thoughts, that's a great time to flip it. Bring out a journal, write down positive affirmations. Have your positive affirmations already written out and read them first thing when you wake up. And all that doesn't work, meditate. Because nothing clears out the negativity than ceasing thought. Thank you guys for joining me again for another episode of Balance Act. I'll be here every week. I love you.